Hey everyone, welcome back to Perfectly Wild. If you share your life with a senior dog, today's topic might completely change the way you look at your daily walks. Because something very small, something most people ignore, can actually reveal a serious health problem months before it becomes obvious. I'm talking about sudden changes in your dog's walking speed, not limping, not whining, not refusing to walk, just subtle shifts in tempo. Maybe your dog suddenly speeds up during a walk, almost like they're trying to rush ahead. Then a few minutes later, they slow down dramatically and start shuffling behind you. Most owners assume two things. Either the dog got excited and then tired, or they're just slowing down because they're getting old. But veterinarians and canine movement specialists are noticing a consistent pattern. Senior dogs often don't limp when they're in pain. Instead, they change their pace. That sudden shift between a brisk trot and a hesitant shuffle is one of the earliest warning signs of joint problems. And if you understand what's happening biomechanically, you can catch these issues months before serious damage occurs. So today we're going to break down exactly why walking speed changes happen, how dogs compensate for joint pain, and the subtle signals that reveal hidden mobility struggles. Let's start with the biggest myth. Dogs slow down because of old age. Age itself doesn't cause movement problems. What actually happens is that aging increases the risk of specific conditions like arthritis, hip dysplasia, ligament degeneration, cartilage thinning, chronic inflammation. When these issues develop, the joints become stiff and sensitive. But dogs are incredibly good at hiding pain. In the wild, showing weakness could make an animal vulnerable. So evolution trained dogs to mask discomfort as long as possible. Instead of limping immediately, they adapt their movement patterns. One of the first adaptations is changing walking speed. Let's look at why that happens. When a joint is inflamed, every step creates pressure inside the joint capsule. That pressure causes friction between cartilage surfaces. If a dog moves slowly, the joint stays under load longer with each step. But if the dog speeds up into a quick trot, something interesting happens. Each paw touches the ground for a shorter amount of time. That reduces the duration of pressure on the painful joint. So the dog briefly feels relief. This is why some dogs suddenly speed up during a walk. They're not excited. They're trying to minimize discomfort. But that strategy doesn't work forever. Because as the joint continues moving, inflammation increases and the surrounding muscles start to fatigue. That's when the dog slows down again. So the walking pattern starts to look like this. A quick burst of speed, then a slow shuffle. Then another short trot, then hesitation. It's almost like the dog is constantly negotiating with their own body. This pattern is what movement specialists call compensatory gait behavior. The body is trying to redistribute forces to protect a painful area. Now here's another important clue. Pay attention to where the speed change happens. Many dogs with joint issues walk differently depending on the surface. For example, your dog might walk normally on grass but slow down on pavement. That's because hard surfaces increase impact forces traveling through the limbs. Grass and dirt absorb shock. Pavement doesn't. So if your dog hesitates or slows dramatically when transitioning from soft ground to concrete, that's a major red flag for joint discomfort. Another subtle indicator is something called kinetic compensation. When a joint hurts, the body shifts weight away from that area. For example, a dog with hip pain might shift their center of gravity forward to take pressure off their back legs. A dog with elbow pain might shift weight toward the rear limbs. Over time, this weight redistribution changes how the dog walks. The steps become shorter. The gait becomes choppier. The dog may start moving faster but with very small steps. This fast, choppy walk is often mistaken for excitement. But it's actually the body trying to stabilize painful joints. Another movement pattern you might notice is something called bunny hopping. This is when both back legs move together instead of alternating. Dogs do this to avoid extending each hip individually. It's a protective mechanism that reduces joint rotation. You might see this when your dog runs or climbs stairs. Another signal involves the head. When a dog has pain in a front limb, they may subtly lift their head when that paw touches the ground. This reduces the amount of body weight placed on the painful leg. It creates a rhythmic head bob that matches the stride pattern. Most owners miss this because it's extremely subtle, but veterinarians can often identify which limb hurts just by watching that rhythm. There's also something called the threshold hesitation. This is when a dog pauses before stepping onto a different surface. For example, they might stop briefly before stepping onto tile, stairs, or pavement. This pause is the dog calculating how much impact the joint will experience. It's not stubbornness, it's risk assessment. And it's one of the clearest indicators that your dog is experiencing discomfort. Now here's the critical part. If you wait until your dog is visibly limping, the problem may already be advanced. By the time a dog shows an obvious limp, several things may have already happened. Cartilage may be significantly worn down, inflammation may be chronic. Muscle mass may have decreased, the spine may start compensating for the imbalance. This can lead to secondary issues like muscle atrophy, spinal misalignment, ligament strain, reduced mobility. That's why early detection is so important. If you catch joint issues early, you can slow the progression dramatically. Modern veterinary medicine offers many options today that weren't available a decade ago. These include regenerative therapies, advanced anti-inflammatory treatments, and targeted supplements that support joint lubrication. But the key is identifying the problem before severe degeneration occurs. So what can you do as a pet parent? Start by observing your dog's walking rhythm during normal daily walks. Look for patterns like sudden bursts of speed, frequent slowing down, short choppy steps, hesitation before surface changes, difficulty starting movement after rest. Also pay attention to changes in behavior. Dogs with joint discomfort may avoid stairs, sleep more, be less eager for walks, struggle getting up from lying down. Next, consider environmental adjustments at home. Simple changes can dramatically reduce joint stress. Use non-slip rugs on slippery floors. Provide orthopedic bedding to support joints during sleep. Maintain a healthy body weight because extra weight increases joint pressure significantly. Controlled, low-impact exercise is also important. Regular movement keeps joints lubricated and prevents muscle loss, but intense jumping or sudden turns should be minimized. You can also discuss joint support supplements with your veterinarian. Newer formulations focus not only on cartilage, but also on improving synovial fluid quality, the fluid that lubricates joints and reduces friction. Finally, if you notice consistent changes in your dog's walking speed, ask your veterinarian about a gait analysis. Many clinics now use video analysis or motion tracking to evaluate how a dog distributes weight while walking. There are even wearable devices available today that track movement patterns and activity levels. These tools can detect subtle mobility changes long before they're visible to the human eye. The goal isn't just to treat pain after it appears. The goal is to protect your dog's mobility for as long as possible. Because our dogs don't complain the way humans do. They communicate through behavior, through movement, through rhythm. And that sudden change in walking speed during your daily walk might be your dog's quiet way of saying something I isn't her. So the next time you take your senior dog out for a walk, watch carefully, not just how far they go, but how they move. Because sometimes the smallest change in pace reveals the biggest hidden problem. And catching it early can mean the difference between years of comfortable mobility and a rapid decline in quality of life. If this video helped you understand your dog better, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Purrfectly Wild, because the more we learn to read our pets' signals, the better life we can give them. And I'll see you in the next video.